Yo, what's up? Alright, I know things look different, they look weird. As you can tell, for the people that have been subscribed to my channel for a long time, this is my old studio. I recently moved to Orlando, but I'm coming back to see my family for a couple of days here in South Florida. So this isn't permanent, this is just maybe for 1 or 2 videos. I'm gonna be in this setting, but by the end of the weekend, I'll be back in my usual studio in my apartment in Orlando. But just because I'm supposed to be chilling doesn't mean the news don't stop with NASCAR. Holy crap. I don't understand what is it this weekend, but it's just hit after hit after hit NASCAR is taking when it comes to officiating, because we just saw an absolute bombshell. Now, let's set the tone. Last weekend at the Charlotte Roval, Chase Briscoe needed 2 points to get ahead of Kyle Larson to make it into the round of 8. He did that with a little bit of a moment that happened on the backstretch chicane on the final lap. And it was this moment with Custer. Now, what I thought, it looked like as though Chase Briscoe dive bombed the corner heading into the backstretch chicane. But apparently, NASCAR didn't see it like that. Now, they said that they were going to be looking into video and audio footage from the 41's radio transmission to determine whether or not they, Custer and the 41 team manipulated to be able to help their teammate, Chase Briscoe, make it into the round of 8. And NASCAR felt like he did just that. Custer was fined $100,000 from NASCAR and docked him 50 points. Not only that, his crew chief, Mike Shiplett, was fined also $100,000, but he has been indefinitely suspended.
I think we got a flat tire. Slow up. I think we got a flat tire. Check up, check up. Just fill it out good. Left. Little tire rub, little tire rub. Still there, still there. Fill it out good. Come on back. You're okay. Little tire up. Keep coming.
The issue with that was he didn't see the car. How can he say you have a flat tire when you can't see the car? Remember, where the pit box they're located looks to the front stretch, to the start finish line. The incident happened on the back straightaway. How could he have known that Custer had a tire going down if he can't even see it? Now, it is important to point out that while Briscoe did pass 2 cars to make it into the round of 8, he held the tiebreaker. So in reality, Larson had to gain 3 positions in order to get ahead of Briscoe to make it to the round of 8. But the point still stands that the 41 team manipulated the outcome of the race to help their teammate Chase Briscoe make it into the round of 8. Now, here's the issue that I have with this. While I'm glad that NASCAR was able to look into this and to call out the 41 team for manipulation, the issue that I have is, again, they're inconsistent with it. We look back what happened last year at the Bristol night race when Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott purposely said on the radio, "Where's a 5 car? I will help him out," to try and prevent Kevin Harvick from winning the race, to prevent him from making it into the round of 12. What's interesting about that is that Scott Miller talked about that. He said that the driver was taking it into his own hands, but wasn't something he was directed to do so. Which, okay, fine, even though that's a horrible explanation, okay, well then explain Martinsville of 2020, where Denny Hamlin needed to stay, I believe, in a certain position. He could not afford to lose any more spots in order to advance to the championship 4. You had Eric Jones, a teammate behind him, who was clearly faster and was running down Denny Hamlin. All of a sudden, his spotter on the radio tells him, "Don't pass him." That is a team order. Don't pass him. He needs to stay where he is in order to make it to the championship 4. Why wasn't he penalized there? You could also bring up Atlanta 2021, where the 42 car Ross Chastain purposely took away Kyle Busch's line in order to help Kurt Busch get by him, win the race, and make it into the playoffs. These are signs, even though it was in the driver's hands, it is not racing 110 or 100%. That's a NASCAR rule. They say you must race 100%. You cannot slow down, or do anything like that to manipulate the outcome of a race. All these situations involve them manipulating the outcome of a race, yet they weren't penalized or had any form of penalty. Obviously, with Custer was a bit more blatant, when the crew chief is telling you, "Hey, you have a flat, you need to check up, check up, check up." It's pretty blatant, but still, the premise and the topic of it still remains the same, that all these situations revolved around drivers and or teams manipulating the outcome of a race. But yet, only the 41 team was penalized this time. Which also then begs a question. If a driver handles it by himself, does that make it okay? So let's say if you go into Phoenix and you get payback, or you try to hold up a driver so that your teammate can go bypass and wins the race and wins the championship. But it's in the driver's hands. Does that make it legal? Does that make it fair? The logic that, oh, Chase Elliott's was different because it was the driver that did it. It was in his hand. It was in his hands. That's a horrible excuse, because still the premise is still the same. You're manipulating the outcome of a race. You're purposefully manipulating the outcome of a race to benefit someone from your team. The premise is still the same. Maybe the how it takes place, how it occurred may be differently, but still the premise remains the same. You manipulate the outcome of a race. This is the issue that I have with NASCAR. I'm glad that they penalize and they find the 41 team, because, I mean, what they did should be warranted of a penalty, but still it goes against NASCAR's history when it comes to decisions like this. It's very inconsistent. Ronnie Childress says it himself. Now officially okay for a teammate to manipulate the championship race at Phoenix as long as no one says anything on the radio. Even if there's live SMT data showing a guy running half throttle on the straights and jamming the brakes getting into each corner. As long as you don't say anything on the radio, or if the driver takes it into his own hands, then it's fair game, which should not be the case. It's still not right. That is still goes against that NASCAR 100% rule. I'm just saying we would not be having these issues if we had no playoffs. I'm just saying we wouldn't be having these issues, or at the very least, it'd be a lot more rare than nowadays. I mean, nowadays, almost every single week with the playoffs, someone is always trying to manipulate to help their teammate. I understand why NASCAR didn't penalize the 14 team, even though it kind of does bring the question, well, okay, if in any situation, you know, let's say in the championship race, I go out, let's say I'm teammates with Chase Elliott, I purposefully go out and hold up a driver so that he can go by, win the race and win the championship, even though I clearly manipulated the outcome of a race. Should he still get the title? That's where it gets into a really gray area when it comes to what happens to the driver that was benefited from a situation when they have some form of connection with the perpetrator. Again, it's a very gray area, but this whole situation with NASCAR and the officiating and manipulating the race outcome, it's just been an absolute mess, because how you officiated goes, how NASCAR officiated this situation goes against their entire history, or at least the entire history in recent times. And yes, even Chase Elliott, yes, I know Chase Elliott, he did it directly and it was a form of payback, but the premise remains the same. He literally said on the radio, I will help the 5 out by holding up Kevin Harvick, preventing him from winning the race. That is a form of manipulating the race and not racing 100%. Anyways, I digress. This situation is very subjective. A penalty like this, it varies case by case. More than likely, whatever happens, the next time we hear a situation where it comes to race manipulation, we're probably going to get a different outcome, just because of how inconsistent NASCAR is with these penalties and how situation varies from each other. But I want to know your thoughts on this one. What are your thoughts on Cole Custer's penalty? Because this is huge now, because now SHR, they have to find a new crew chief for the time being for Cole Custer. I mean, Cole, it was like 20 something in the point standing, so it really doesn't affect him whatsoever, except just his pockets, because now he's going to have to fork over 100K as well as his crew chief. But this is a big penalty. But what are your thoughts on this story? Do you feel like NASCAR did the right move with it? You know, do you think it was inconsistent from NASCAR? Tell me your thoughts in the comments section down below. Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.